This is Japan, turn 1. They have $26 to spend. They're going to advance their tech research for $4. They're going to buy a minor factory for $12, and they're going to spend the final $10 on a new transport and an infantry. I'll swing around to the other side of the map here so that we can see it a little better, because most of the combat is in the north. But the big news for this particular round is Japan is declaring war on Russia and coming pretty whole hog into Siberia. So let's see what they're going to do. They're also making a few attacks in China. So we'll do the China attacks first, just to get those organized. A single infantry from Johor is going to walk into Shahar. Anhui is going to be attacked from 3 different territories. 3 infantry and an artillery from Kiangsu, 3 infantry and an artillery from Shantung, and an infantry and an artillery from Johor. Hunan is going to be attacked with 2 infantry, the fighter from Formosa, and the fighter and the tactical bomber from Kiangsu. And the tactical bomber will be targeting one of the infantry. Okay, as for the attack on Siberia, here is what is being brought along. The transport in C-Zone 19 is going to pick up the infantry from Okinawa and then proceed to C-Zone 6. It'll be followed by the battleship. Oh, I think I forgot to mention as well, just into the Anhui attack, such as it is, the mech infantry from Manchuria is coming in. Okay, so anyway, the naval forces from 19 are going to pick up, as I said, the infantry from Okinawa and go to C-Zone 6. In C-Zone 6, they're going to load up an artillery, and then the second transport in the C-Zone is going to load up an infantry and an artillery. The battleship and the cruiser, along with the battleship from 19, are going to proceed to C-Zone 5, where they will be offloading into Siberia. This attack is going to be supported by a large number of planes as well. All of the planes from Manchuria, 2 infantry and, or sorry, 2 fighters and 2 tactical bombers from Manchuria are going to come into the attack. The fighter from Korea is going to come into the attack. The 2 fighters and 2 tactical bombers from Japan are going to come into the attack, and the 2 fighters and 2 tactical bombers from the carriers in C-Zone 6 are going to come into the attack. In addition, both strategic bombers are going to be designated air transports. They will each pick up 2 infantry from Japan, and they will be part of the assault on Siberia as well. Now remember that Siberia does have an anti-aircraft gun, so they will be rolling some anti-aircraft defense there, but this is going to be a pretty crazy battle. So we'll start setting all these up and rolling them, and that's next. This is the attack on Siberia. The Hikawa Maru and the Awata Maru are the transport ships that are each dropping off an infantry and an artillery. There are 2 transport planes dropping off 2 paratroopers each. There are 6 fighters, 4 fighters from land and 2 fighters from the carriers. The 2 carriers are the Kaga and the Soryu. There's 2 tactical bombers coming from those carriers as well, plus 4 tactical bombers from the ground. There is a cruiser firing an offshore shot, that's the Tone, and then 2 battleships, the Hyuga and the Nagato, participating in this attack as well. So this is going to be fairly substantial battle here. There are 12 Russian units defending, plus the anti-aircraft gun. So we'll roll the anti-aircraft first. We'll see what, if any, the losses are. all misses. So that was extraordinarily lucky for the Japanese. They probably won't lose any planes in this. Okay, so 4 1s for the paratroops, 4 2s for the infantry and artillery, 6 3s for the fighters, 1 3 for the offshore cruiser, 2 4s for the battleships, and 6 4s for the tactical bombers. So here we go. Oh, that looks like a lot of hits. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits. No, sorry. 3, 6, 9. That's 10 hits. Okay, so that's the anti-aircraft plus all but 2 of the infantry. So this is going spectacularly badly for the Japanese so far. No surprise there, I don't think. Let's see how many casualties they can, or for the Russians so far, sorry. Let's see how many casualties the Russians can inflict with 12 twos. Not very many, 4. So that's all the paratroops. So all the paratroops are dead. 2 of those guys left. All these are over here. This was a spectacularly good first attack for the Japanese. Okay, so we take away the 4 1s for the paratroops. We take away 2 4s for the battleship and 1 3 for the cruiser, and we roll all the rest of the dice. They only need 2 hits, so it should be pretty straightforward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits. They only needed 2, so battle's over. Let's see what they do next. Okay, 2 in defense. No hits. So wow, that was a spectacularly successful battle for the Japanese. Next we have the battle for Hunan. Japanese are coming in with 2 infantry, 2 fighters, and a tactical bomber. And the tactical bomber is going to perform a target select on one of the 2 Chinese infantry. And it missed. So, 2 1s and 2 3s versus 2 2s. 2 hits, battle's over, but the Chinese do get to respond. Both misses, so Japan is off to a blazing start in the game. No casualties for Japan, territory taken. Okay, we'll show you the non-combat moves. It's a lot of just landing planes. So the all of the planes that participated in the attack on Hunan are going to land in Guangxi. So that's 2 fighters and a tactical bomber. The infantry and artillery from Jiangxi are going to move into Guangxi as well. Looks like every Japanese naval piece on the board is going to be moving to C-Zone 6. So the destroyer and the sub from C-Zone 19, the transport and the cruiser from 20, and the transport, by the way, when it gets to C-Zone 6 is going to pick up 2 infantry from Korea and move them into Japan. The naval units down here, the destroyer and the carrier are going to come into C-Zone 6. The tactical bomber is going to fly 1, 2, 3, 4 and land in Japan. It looks like. I think he miscounted his planes a little bit because he has some landings on carriers, and he can only do that if he lands that plane in Japan. Other moves. In Manchuria, we're going to move 4 infantry into Korea. And then in terms of the planes that will be landing that participated in the Siberia attack, 4 of the fighters and 3 of the tactical bombers will be landing in Manchuria. And then all 4 planes from the carriers will land on the carriers they came from, and 1 tactical bomber will also land on the new carrier that's coming up from Sea Zone 33. Okay, the 2 transport planes, the strategic bombers that are designated transport planes, will also be landing back in Japan. So once I tidy all this up, we'll come back with unit placement and income and disposition of forces. Okay, for Japan's placements, obviously the builds have to go in Japan because right now that's their only factory. So Sea Zone 6 is getting another transport, and then a new infantry unit is also being raised in Japan. In terms of where their new minor factory is going, Kiangsu is the location. Okay, in terms of income, Japan is going to go up 1 for Hunan, 1 for Anhui, and 1 for Shahar, all at the expense of the Chinese. And then they're going to go up 2 for Siberia at the expense of the Russians. So if we look at the chart here, we'll see they go from 26 up 5 to 31. The Russians go down 2 to 35. The Chinese go down 3 to 9. So that's where we are there. So in terms of collecting income, their base income is now 31, and they're going to get a $10 national objective for not being at war with the United States or having declared war on England or Anzac or anybody like that. So currently they're only at war with the Chinese and now obviously the Russians. Okay, so let's do a disposition of forces. I've had a request to do this from the right side up way of looking at the board, so we'll do that. So we'll start down here in the South Pacific. In Palau, there is a single infantry. In the Caroline Islands, there are 2 infantry and an anti-aircraft artillery. Over on the mainland, in Guangxi, there are 3 fighters, 1 tactical bomber, 4 infantry, and 2 artillery. In Hunan, there are 2 infantry. In Anhui, there is a sizable force growing there of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 infantry, 1 mechanized infantry, and 3 artillery. In Shahar, there is a single infantry. In Manchuria, we'll zoom in here. In Manchuria, we have 2 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 anti-aircraft artillery, 4 fighters, 3 tactical bombers. In Korea, there are 6 infantry. In the newly captured territory of Siberia, there are 2 infantry and 2 artillery. In Sea Zone 5, there are 2 transports, 1 cruiser, and 2 battleships. In Sea Zone 6 is the rest of the Japanese Navy. 2 transports, 1 cruiser, 4 destroyers, 2 subs, and 3 fully loaded carriers, each with a fighter and a tactical bomber on board. In Japan, the capital, we have 4 infantry, 1 tank, 3 anti-aircraft artillery, 1 tactical bomber, and 2 strategic bombers that are currently designated as air transports. So I think that's Japan turn 1. Again, really super aggressive out of the gate. Russia now has a Japan problem, so we'll see what happens with that. US and China are up next. Okay, just a quick heads up that I miscounted the Japanese fighters at the end of Japan's turn, so there should be an additional fighter in Japan. proper. Okay, there was one extra fighter that was involved in the Siberia attack, which landed on the carrier, and the carrier from 33, and then the one that was on the carrier from 33 lands in Japan. So my bad, but that should now be correct. Okay, so in terms of Air Force in Japan, there's the two transport planes, a fighter, and a tactical bomber.